I talked with Claude and put together a list
Mhm.
beforehand of like, hey, just give me like 15 to 20 questions that can help me do some introspection about basically my work. The whole thing was basically focused on work, not
Yeah.
really family life, not spiritual life, just kind of like work. I got to figure
Yeah.
work out.
Okay.
And so I told Claude, give me those. I printed them out, obviously, before I left. And I did read those over while I was there. And some of them were helpful for like bringing up some directional, questions and
Yeah.
stuff. And so I think the biggest takeaway for me is the past, like, I think that since the older twins were born, so the older twins were born, 4.5 years ago. So we'll just say 5 years. 5 years ago. 5 years ago also started my like path on Twitter. Right. So 5 years
Mhm.
ago, I had like 1,000 followers, and then I started like being purposeful about it. And
Right.
now I have whatever, 50.
Yeah.
And so this past 5 years feels like a block to me, like a chunk.
Yeah.
And I think for the past 5 years, I have not really done a good job, or I basically lost my ability to focus deeply for hours at a time.
Right.
Just like it's just gone. I just don't
Yeah.
have that ability anymore.
Yeah.
And so as these thoughts were coming up, that's one thing I kept noticing was like, man, it feels like the overarching feeling that I get observing this block of time is one of like distraction. And I was
Mhm.
like, man, that's not great. That's not a good, like, if you had a one word takeaway from this 5 years of
Right.
work, the word being distracted, that's
Yeah.
not really a ringing endorsement of how you're living
Yeah.
your life.
Mhm.
And so there are other words that were associated with it, like frenetic and, flitting. Like I just flit from thing to thing.
Mhm.
And that was the thing that came up that made me feel icky. Like looking back on that, and I tried to give myself some grace. Like, hey, you've done a lot of great things. Like
Yeah.
you're, by all normal measurements, doing well. Um, and that's fine, but looking at this, is this how you wanna live your next 5 years? And the answer was, like, a resounding no.
Right.
Not at
That
all. Not
has a
even a little bit.
visceral reaction
Yes.
to that. Right. Yeah.
And one of the Claude questions was, like, "What do you know is true that you're not willing to admit?" And I was
Mm.
like, "Okay, I am addicted to Twitter to my detriment. That is what I
Mm.
know is true and
Yeah.
not willing to admit." I would have said before, like, I'm addicted to it probably, but I think the "to my detriment" is like, I don't know
Yeah.
if I have said that out loud. Like it is a very bad thing. And let's hold aside all the like social stuff. It just distracts me.
Right. Right.
That's
Right.
the
That's
bad part. Yeah, it's like, oh wow, society's falling apart, everything's depressing,
right.
sure. But I check it every 6 minutes. Like that's
Right.
not good. I
Yeah.
can't get anything done.
Right.
And so that was the big realization, is that like the way I'm living my life is not congruent with like what I want to be doing with my life. And what I
Yeah.
want to be doing with my life is like enjoying the work process a lot more. I enjoy
Mhm.
I enjoy the output. Like I think the things I produce are good, but it's just a real like it's a real beating to get there, because I feel like I'm like walking uphill, pushing a boulder uphill.
Right.
And because I'm so distracted and I'm trying to fit in this work around, checking Twitter every 6 minutes. And
Right.
so looking at that, it was like clear as day. And it's so, man, I know that I just like, it's like when rich guys invent hobbies and they're like, you know what you can do? You can just do something for
Right.
fun.
You can just buy a
I
yacht and go do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I invented meditation and it's just
Right.
crazy. Everybody's got to try this thing I invented. But it's just the experience was interesting because the answers became self-evident. It wasn't
Right.
like I had to do a lot of digging. Like I didn't
Yeah.
have to like,
You know all this stuff, but
I
it's
know
just you
all of
give
it.
yourself time.
All of it.
I literally don't think there's a single thing you've said that if we just talked about it, you wouldn't have said, and that you probably have said on the show at some point.
Probably.
But it's just that like feeling it is different than
Yes.
mentally
100%.
understanding it, right? It's like, yeah, I know I'm addicted. I know I'm on there all the time, every 6 minutes. Like, I'm sure you would have just said
Oh, I
those
would
things,
have
right?
told
Like,
you, yeah. And it would have been
but it wouldn't
hysterical.
have,
We would have made a great joke about it.
right? But it's like now having the chance to sit with it and be like, oh, I really feel how this is bad for
Yes.
me
Hugely
is the
different.
next level. Yeah, yeah, Yep.
Hugely different to like know something and then to feel like viscerally disgusted by it, you know? To be like, oh, I don't want to live this way. I don't want to do
Right.
this. This is awful.
Yeah.
I hate this. And that was like a curious experience to me, just to have those answers just like, you know, within inches of reach and be like, yep,
Right.
that's easy. Got that 100%.
Right.
And so that was probably the biggest, is that I need to change my habits, patterns, strategies, look to live the life that I want to live. I have to change what I'm doing. And so there's another realization, but on this one, the practical takeaway, and I'm prone to like grand sweeping gestures, and so I'm trying to be like precise about it.
Okay.
The takeaway for now is no podcasts, no social media, no email before noon on a work day. That's it. That's it.
That seems reasonable.
That's the
Seems
whole thing.
doable. I like
doable.
It's a reachable goal. Like, this is not way out there. I'm not
No.
gonna do it anymore. Like, this is like, yeah, if you can get a nice 3-4 hour chunk of the morning in, you're gonna feel like you got a lot of stuff done. It's gonna wean you off of the checking like habit, at least for chunks of being able to do that for chunks of time. I like that. That seems good.
I bricked my phone most of this weekend as well.
Yep.
And it just made me feel better.
Right.
It just made me feel better. Like, I felt like I was more present. Felt like time was passing more slowly, but not in like a grueling way. It was just like, oh, I'm relaxed. You know, I can just sit around and read a book or play with the kids, and it's like, that's fine. And it also revealed to me that like almost every moment of downtime has historically been filled with just checking on stuff. Like, let me just, I'm at a stoplight. Let me look at my phone.
Right, let me check in.
I'm like walking from the kitchen back to the bedroom. Let me look at my phone on the way. It's like, good Lord, this is brutal.
Yeah. It's
so this weekend was much better. Much better. Just felt like less stress, less strung out. And so I've set up a schedule on my phone where every morning at 6 a.m. it bricks itself. And so I don't have to like remember to do it, because usually the first thing I do when I wake up is look at my phone.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so sleepy. I'm so sleepy. Let me get some input and let me look at what all the mad people on Twitter are saying.
Okay. See, I thought you might be going to like a morning push to like get caught up on things and then brick the phone 8 to noon or something. But you're going nothing from wake up through noon. You are off the grid-ish, at least in terms of social media type thing.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. That's harder there. So that's interesting. That could be like the hardest part almost. Cause like once you're at work, it's like, okay, I'm focused on the thing I'm doing and like whatever, maybe I have the temptation, but okay, I'm in the work. I got to get this done, whatever. But like when you first wake up, you're like, oh, I got a minute, or like, you're waiting for a kid to do something and you're just kind of sitting around like, okay, so there you go.
So I did that this morning, right? So this is the first work day.
This is Monday. We're
post retreat.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I was like, let me grab my phone. Well, nothing to look at here.
Nothing there.
Let me see what these old voicemails are all about. Yeah, well, all right. I guess that's the only thing I can look at.
Clear those out. Yeah.
I'll get up now. And then driving. So I dropped the kids off, and then I always drive to get a coffee and then drive to the office. And I didn't listen to a podcast while I was driving.
Wow.
Because normally it's like, what can I throw on? Like, let me just tune out and just start my day by engaging in some content. And this morning I just drove silently like a serial
Wow.
killer. Yeah, it was crazy. It was so weird.
That is interesting to me to put the podcast in there because I feel like that is quite different than like sort of the Twitter. Like I don't feel compelled to like check in on a podcast. Like it's like I listen when I have time and then I don't if I don't have time and whatever. But is this more to like make the space of like some empty thought space?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So the theory is that in the morning I want to save my best thoughts and energy for the work, whatever that happens to be. And if I start by filling it with podcasts, then I feel like I don't have, like you said, the space to just like let those thoughts come up. But two, I'm getting this input and I'm thinking about their stuff instead of my stuff. And I want to be thinking about my stuff. And that whole subconscious information processing, like when you have a problem you're working on, the quiet space, like your brain is just working on it constantly. And instead of filling that with freaking, Jason Calacanis on This Week in Startups or something, I just let it work. So I'm just like, let it cruise and do whatever it's going to do. And sometimes that may be nothing and sometimes it may be something awesome. So yeah, so I did it today. Obviously we're recording, before noon, but I did it this morning. I drove with no podcast, got to work, and it felt like I have had a whole day of productivity so far. And it's 10 o'clock. We started at 10 o'clock today.
I was going to say, yeah. So you've only had a couple hours there and you already feel like you were productive this morning.
I already feel like I was incredibly productive. So I got in here at 8, just like looked around, was like, I don't know. I guess I'll like do something. Tended to my plants and then sat down and started like writing curriculum for this Intro to Postgres course. And it was just like, I looked up and it was 9:16 and I'm like, how have I gotten so much done? I got here at 8:05. This makes no sense to me. And turns out if you're not distracted every couple of seconds, you can get a lot done a lot faster. And it's more enjoyable. It's crazy.
Wow. Okay.
I know.
So there's a lot here. I feel like
a lot here.
We've got
life-changing.
Life-changing, yes.
Life-changing.
Next week will be especially interesting now because I'll be curious to hear how the week goes and all that stuff. Okay,